Hi, everyone. I don't know if I deserve empathy or hate here. Maybe both. But I just need to tell the truth somewhere, even if that truth destroys me. I'm Lena Hart, 36, recently divorced. And it's all because of what I did. The one person who loved me the most. I betrayed him. And now I'm losing everything. I didn't cheat because he was a bad husband. I cheated because somewhere along the way, I became a bad wife. When I married Leo, I thought I had found my forever place. He wasn't loud, dramatic, or egoistic like the men I dated before. He was calm, steady, safe. And maybe that's why I took him for granted. The more he trusted me, the more I failed him. He worked hard, too hard. Late nights at the firm, projects, deadlines. He carried the burden of making our life comfortable. And I just carried fear. Fear of becoming invisible. Fear that someday he'd wake up and realize he picked the wrong woman. So I created this image of a perfect wife. I quit my job. I cooked extravagant dinners. I decorated every corner of our home like I was auditioning for magazines. I wore smiles as makeup. I wanted him to look at me and see a woman worth loving. But inside, I was hollow. When he'd walk in late, tired but still smiling, thanking me for everything that should have made me happy. Instead, I felt trapped in my own expectations. He thought we were trying for a baby. That was a lie, too. I told him month after month that it just wasn't happening. I wasn't ready to become a mother. I barely understood who I was anymore. And then temptation came dressed like attention. His name was Chase. We met through a mutual acquaintance at a friend's dinner. He was charming in that dangerous way, the kind that feels like a compliment just by looking at you. He asked me questions no one had in years. He paid attention to my laugh, my stories, my insecurities. He made me feel desired. And I was stupid enough to mistake that for love. It started easily, playfully. Secret texts while Leo was in the shower. Long replies when Leo worked late. And when Chase said he wished he had met me before I married, I should have blocked him. I should have chosen my husband. But I chose the thrill. The first time I met Chase alone, I told Leo the first was having a girls' night with my friend Tasha. I dressed up, lied straight to his face. A lie he believed without hesitation. I told myself it was just dinner, just conversation. But I knew exactly what I was doing. We kissed behind a cheap restaurant after midnight, and I felt my brain switch off. I told myself Leo would never know, and if he didn't know, it wasn't really hurting him. That is the cruelest way a cheater thinks. After that, I lived two lives. In one, I folded Leo's shirts and packed his lunches. In the other, Chase held my waist and told me he was falling for me. And I believed him. God, I believed him. I thought I was getting away with it, that I was smart enough to juggle lies, that Leo loved me too blindly to ever doubt me. Then came the night everything cracked. Leo texted saying he'd be late and asked if I was okay alone. I told him of course, and even offered to warm his dinner later. In truth, I was already on my way to meet Chase. We laughed loudly under a street lamp, holding hands like teenagers. I remember feeling alive, and then a chill ran through me like someone had walked over my grave. I didn't see Leo that night, but he saw me. I came home to my usual, tidy lie. I kissed his cheek while he pretended to be asleep. I didn't know then that everything had changed. Over the next weeks, I noticed small shifts. He watched me more carefully. He stopped talking about the future. He stopped reaching for my hand. I blamed his work stress, his exhaustion, anything except the truth staring at me. Then, I got sloppy. I left my phone unlocked while showering one morning. When I came out, he was sitting on the bed, staring at it. The phone was placed too perfectly on the blanket. And his smile, that smile of a man who knows he's been played for a fool. I asked if everything was okay. He kissed my forehead and said yes. That yes felt like a trapdoor opening under my feet. But I didn't stop cheating. I doubled down. Chase wanted us to celebrate our 1 year together with a weekend at a spa. Yes, I had been unfaithful for almost a full year. We booked everything. I told Leo the first was visiting Tasha again. I smiled while packing the suitcase my husband bought me. And that's when my karma finally stood up to introduce itself. My card got declined at the spa. I texted Leo, pretending to be confused. He replied with just one sentence. Ask your boyfriend to pay for it. I stared at those words until the world went blurry. Chase kept asking what was wrong. All I could feel was drowning. That night, I sent Leo voicemails, shaking, lying again, pretending I was alone. He didn't answer. That silence was louder than any scream. When I came home, our apartment was empty of him. Drawers cleared. His clothes gone. Every trace of him vanished. On the dining table was an envelope with divorce papers and a letter. I'm not the fool you thought I was. I collapsed on the floor and sobbed until my ribs hurt. I couldn't believe he left without even yelling, without fighting, without demanding answers. He didn't give me hate. He gave me consequences. And those consequences only got worse. Chase's wife found out. She left him and took their kids. Chase blamed me, called me a curse, refused to speak to me again. My reputation? Shattered. Everyone knew. Friends stopped replying. Even my parents couldn't look me in the eye. Job? Gone. Not a good image for the firm. The woman who once posed as perfection became a punchline. I went to see Leo, hoping, begging. I expected anger, tears, anything that proved he still felt something. But his eyes were empty. He listened just enough to confirm my suffering, then pushed me out of his new life like trash. And honestly, I deserved worse. It's funny, I thought losing Leo would free me. Instead, losing Leo revealed what I really lost long before. My integrity, my compassion, myself. I traded loyalty for lust, attention for affection, a marriage for a mistake. And now every night, I lie awake replaying every moment he loved me, and every moment I chose to love someone else. I used to smile like he was my entire world. That was rehearsed. When Chase looked at me, I smiled for real. That smile destroyed everything. I regret it. I regret all of it. And I don't know how to live with that. This is only the beginning of the consequences I'm paying for. I thought the worst had already happened. The divorce, the shame, the heartbreak. But what came next, that's what truly crushed me. Because Leo didn't just leave me. He made sure the entire world knew exactly who I had become. And now I'm standing in the wreckage I built myself. I thought the divorce and the humiliation were the end of my punishment. I was wrong. That was only the opening act. The real destruction came afterwards, quietly, coldly, like the way winter replaces autumn without asking permission. After Leo left, I kept calling him. I begged, I cried, I lied more because lying had become my second language. He didn't respond. And when he finally picked up once, his voice was so steady, so controlled, so painfully calm it frightened me more than if he had screamed. That was the moment I realized. He didn't love me anymore. And worse, he didn't hate me either. I was nothing to him. I tried focusing on Chase then, the man I threw my marriage away for. I thought we'd hold each other through the chaos. But Chase was busy drowning in his own consequences. His wife left him, took their kids. I remember hearing him yell into the phone, calling me the reason his life was ruined. That night, he walked out of the hotel room without saying goodbye. My messages turned into paragraphs, then sentences, then unanswered dots. Soon, he vanished like he had never existed. I thought maybe my friends would comfort me, but they already knew. People love gossip more than truth. I became a cautionary tale, the girl who ruined her marriage for a fling. Every woman I knew looked at me like I was a warning label. Don't be her. I went to my parents next. My mother didn't open the door. She shouted through it, asking why I hurt a good man like Leo. My father came out, shook his head, said, "You're on your own now," and walked back inside. I stood there like a child abandoned by the whole world. I wanted them to scream, punish me, slap me, anything except reject me. That silence from them felt like death. I spent a week in my empty apartment, sleeping on the couch, surrounded by reminders of the life I destroyed. Every drawer I opened had a ghost of us. On the wardrobe, there was still a small sticky note. "You're beautiful. Don't forget it." Leo wrote that after I cried one morning over nothing. I used to think he didn't notice my emotions. Turns out he noticed everything except the monster I was becoming. I thought maybe I could get back to work, find some routine. I reached out to my ex-boss. He replied with one line that gutted me completely. "We don't want that kind of reputation associated with us." That's when it hit me. I hadn't just cheated. I had publicly destroyed my own name. With no job, no husband, no family, no friends, I was left with my regrets. And regret is a suffocating roommate. I didn't know where Leo lived now. The silence of not knowing was unbearable. I convinced myself that if he just looked into my eyes once more, he would see the woman he had loved, not the liar she became. So I tracked him down like a desperate fool. I found his new place. When he opened the door, he looked at me like I was a stranger begging for crumbs. I remember trying to reach for his hand. He stepped back like my touch was poison. I tried to explain, to twist words into excuses. I told him Chase was gone, that I chose wrong, that I only ever wanted love. Leo didn't shout. He didn't accuse. He just said the truth like he was reading my sins off a script. "You didn't lose everything for him. You threw everything away for nothing." Then he handed me an envelope, legal notice, and a statement clarifying that I had lied about seeing my friend Tasha. I felt my bones freeze under my skin. He had proof lined up like bullets, and he was firing them quietly into my life. Every word he said was a knife, but he never raised his voice. Cruelty doesn't always scream. Sometimes it signs papers. I remember sinking on his couch, whispering, "I've lost everything." He replied, "That's not my problem anymore." No mercy, no softness left. When I left his apartment, I realized I wasn't just alone. I was unwanted. I tried to rebuild. I told myself I could start fresh. But every attempt ended with another reminder of what I'd done. I found a small job interview until the recruiter Googled me. Her smile changed into something polite and cold. She said they'd call me later. They never did. I tried going back online for support. People tore me apart. Every comment was a mirror showing me the ugliest parts of myself. Homewrecker. Trash wife. She deserved to be dumped. And worst of all, Leo is better off without you. They were right. I checked social media one night and saw that Charlotte, Chase's wife, posted screenshots of their affair. There we were, kissing in a robe by the spa pool. My face looked happy. Stupid.
Guilty.
Comments filled the post. Strangers calling me names they probably wouldn't dare say out loud. But honestly, I deserved every single one. I cried so hard my body shook. Not because of the insults, but because that photo showed how real my betrayal was. A moment Leo didn't see firsthand, but he still suffered every second of it. He was the one in therapy, the one who had to rebuild himself, the one learning how to trust again.
Me?
I was learning how to survive hating myself. Weeks passed. I tried emailing him, long apologies, short apologies, angry apologies, begging apologies. Every time I pressed send, I prayed he'd respond. Most times he didn't. And when he did, his replies were short and sharp, like closures delivered with a scalpel. One day, I got a call from my lawyer. I had no rights left in the marriage. No alimony. No property. Nothing.
My apartment gone.
My bank access frozen. I was officially a woman with nothing but a suitcase and guilt. That night, I slept on a friend's floor. A friend who let me stay only because she felt pity, not loyalty. Her husband didn't want someone like me in their house. I couldn't argue. I had told too many lies to defend myself now. I saw Leo once more after that, by accident. He was across the street, jogging with headphones in, looking healthier, sharper, lighter, like losing me had freed him. I stood frozen, watching him laugh at something on his phone. He didn't look broken. He didn't look haunted. He looked happy. I wanted to run to him, fall at his feet, scream that I was sorry, that I was rotting without him. But what right did I have to disturb his healing? I turned around before he could see me. And as I walked away, I realized something. He survived me. And that was the final consequence. I thought love was supposed to survive mistakes. But some mistakes bury love so deep, there's no digging it back out. I go to bed tonight on a mattress that isn't mine, in a room that doesn't belong to me, surrounded by people who don't want me. And the only thing I own anymore is the truth I spent a year running from. I made him stop loving me. I turned myself into a villain in his story. And I will never know how to be the hero again. What hurts the most isn't what I lost. It's what I threw away, the man who would have given me the world if I had just held on to his hand. I don't know how long this punishment will last. Maybe forever. Maybe regret is the life sentence cheaters earn. Because even if the world forgives me someday, I never will. But there is still one more chapter one have to live through. The day I finally faced the truth in a courtroom and heard the judge say the words that sealed the coffin of my old life. I never imagined I would be sitting on one side of a legal table and the man I once dreamed of growing old with on the other. I used to picture us holding hands in our 70s, laughing about how fast life went by. Instead, I sat across from him in a divorce mediation room, trying not to fall apart as lawyers reduced our love story into documents and signatures. When Leo walked in, he didn't even look at me. He greeted his lawyer with a warm nod, like he was showing up for a meeting at work, not ending a marriage. His eyes passed over me the way you look at a stranger in an elevator. I had spent nights imagining his face full of anger or heartbreak, but this version of him was worse. He was unaffected.
He had already survived me.
The mediator, an older woman with silver hair, sat between us. My lawyer whispered that I should try to appear calm, cooperative, respectful. I tried. But how do you look composed while watching your entire life being taken away piece by piece? The mediator asked Leo's lawyer to present the case first. Evidence. Proof. Screenshots. And then those pictures, me in that red floral dress at the spa, feeding Chase dessert like the world belonged to us. I felt my stomach twist into knots so tight, I could barely breathe. Leo never looked at the photos.
He didn't need to.
He had already memorized my betrayal. When it was my turn to speak, I tried to tell them I was lonely, that I made a mistake, that I was scared of being forgotten. My voice cracked so badly it sounded like I was choking on my own excuses. The mediator looked at me with disappointment instead of sympathy. You committed emotional cruelty, Mrs. Hart. Not neglect. Every word felt like a slap I deserved. The decision was quick, colder than January wind. I wasn't getting alimony. I wasn't getting the apartment. I wasn't getting anything except the clothes I brought into his home. Leo walked out of that building a free man. I walked out shattered, clutching a purse full of tissues and a heart full of regrets. I sat in the bathroom stall afterward, on the cold tile floor, and cried until I tasted salt and metal. I cried for the wife I had killed inside myself. I cried for the husband who never got the loyalty he earned. I cried for the version of me that could have been happy. I wish that pain was the end. But pain isn't merciful. News spread online and offline faster than I expected. People sent messages telling me I deserved hell. Someone from my old college posted a meme with my picture. When you think cheating will upgrade your life. Friends unfollowed me. Neighbors avoided me in the elevator. My name became a curse whispered after every argument about loyalty. I tried to get therapy. One session. I spent the whole hour sobbing, unable to say anything. The therapist gently told me healing would take time and accountability. Accountability. The one thing I had avoided all year. I couldn't live with myself, so I tried living anywhere else. A rented room. A shared apartment for a month. Then another friend's couch. My days blurred into each other like smudged ink. My nights were worse. I kept dreaming of Leo sleeping next to me, waking up to his morning smile, and then remembering he would never look at me like that again. One evening, I found myself walking near Leo's new neighborhood again. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to torture myself. Maybe I wanted proof he still breathed the same air as me. I stood across the street as he stepped out of a cafe, laughing with a woman behind the counter. She handed him a cappuccino with a smile that reached her eyes. He smiled back, the kind I once lived for.
Jealousy didn't hit me that day.
Reality did. He was healing. He was learning to be happy again. And I was still stuck in the crime scene of my decisions. I hid behind a parked car until he walked away. I couldn't let him see me, not like this. Not as a ghost haunting his new life. Later, I emailed him one last time. I've lost everyone. I've lost everything. I know I don't deserve it, but I just want to know if you're okay.
He didn't reply.
He didn't need to. His silence was the answer. He was finally okay. I spent weeks trying to rebuild myself. I looked for work, avoiding any office connected to my past. I took part-time jobs, cashier, waitress, receptionist, each one temporary, because someone would eventually recognize me. Shame is harder to hide than you think. I deleted all my photos with Chase. But deleting them didn't erase the fact that they happened. Every reflection in the mirror looked like the woman in those pictures, selfish, reckless, heartless. One night, I checked Leo's profile. I shouldn't have, but what else do addicts do except relapse? He didn't post much. Just a note from someone named Charlotte, thanking him for the truth. Chase's ex-wife. She got her closure because of him. She built a new life because of the truth that destroyed mine. I stared at the screen until tears blurred the letters. Leo saved everyone except me. Because I wasn't worth saving. My own parents barely spoke to me. I visited them once. They asked me not to come back until I became a person they could be proud of again. I don't know if that person still exists. I lost track of months. My birthday came and went. No messages. No calls. I bought myself a tiny cake from a bakery clearance shelf. It tasted like expired sugar and loneliness. Sometimes, when I walk by a park or see a couple holding hands, I imagine an alternate version of me. One who confessed the first time she lied. One who chose her husband over a fantasy. One who didn't destroy the love she was blessed with. But imagination is cruel when your reality is the opposite. Love didn't fail me. I failed love. I wish I could say I learned something noble from all this. I didn't. I just broke. And breaking isn't poetic. It's pathetic. My story isn't a lesson for others. It's a warning. Cheating doesn't give freedom. It gives consequences. It takes everything beautiful and turns it into a memory that hurts to remember. I know some people say everyone deserves a second chance. But some mistakes burn that bridge so completely there isn't even ash left. Leo walked away from me without revenge in his heart, but life delivered that revenge on his behalf. Every night, my punishment continues. I fall asleep knowing I ruined the only pure love I ever had, and wake up knowing I'll never get it back. Maybe one day, Leo will fully forget me. But I will spend every remaining day remembering him. And if anyone asks me what regret feels like, it feels like watching him be happier without you. It feels like sleepless nights replaying the truth you tried to hide. It feels like wishing you could apologize forever and still knowing it wouldn't matter. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve closure. This story isn't to ask for sympathy. It's just a confession from a ruined woman who finally understands. You never break the person you cheat on. You break the person you become. And I broke myself beyond repair.